Hey,
Hi,
it's Tash and Carly.
and you're listening to Motherhood.
Not as we planned.
So get comfy, grab a cup of tea.
Or a glass of wine, and let's start talking about all the things too many of us avoid discussing. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Motherhood Not As We Planned. This is an exciting one. I feel like I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to
Catch up.
Yeah. So we are going to be talking all about dating apps, kind of like first date experiences. You guys have been sending us in your experiences of first dates and just generally.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a fun.
And that's it, like, especially when you've been in a very long-term relationship, this is completely
new territory.
such new territory. And also I feel like times have changed massively since when we got in relationships. I mean, this was not a thing.
I'd never been on a date. Like, I met my ex, we were really, really young, started dating when we were 15. And that wasn't even really like a date. Like, I think my mum dropped me at his house or something. Do you know what I mean? Like proper like kid.
Yeah.
I think we watched a film or something. So I'd never been on a date before. I'm assuming I can speak for both of us where we say we'd never experienced dating apps before.
No.
So it was that I remember that moment where I was like, do you know what? I'm going to download a dating app. And I think I was so excited by it. And I had some single friends being like, it's really not that exciting. But I was buzzing. I was like, yeah, do you swipe left or all these really cool things? And as I was building my profile, I was like, this is so fucking awkward. What are these prompts that I need to fill out? I suddenly found it quite overwhelming. And then you had to pick 6 photos. And I was like, I don't even like 2 photos. And they all have my kids in it. And I wasn't sure, do you put your kids on it or not? I didn't. Did you?
No.
I said I had kids. Because I thought there's no point me speaking to someone if they don't want me having children, because I do.
Yeah. So what point were you like, I'm going on a dating app?
Okay, so I actually went on a date before I was on the dating app, because it was through mutual friends and introduction. So it was very casual. We were both very much on the same page that we weren't looking for anything serious. I didn't initially go on dates or go on the apps thinking I'm ready to find
the number.
I think it was more I feel like I'm in a good place now. This would maybe give me a bit of a confidence boost or just have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, saw this guy only a few times. It was really casual. We both were very much he had a messy breakup. I think it was just nice to have some common ground with someone where we both had not had good experiences yet, or breakups, and I felt like it was more we both used each other for a bit of therapy. We were
Free. Yeah, therapy is expensive these days.
Yeah, I feel like it was more just going out with someone and kind of I get what you're going through, and pay for my food. And I think it just eased me into it a bit. And actually, this is how much we weren't serious about anything. He was the one that told me he was on a dating app. And that's what made me think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go. So from meeting him and going on a few dates, I then downloaded my first dating app.
One did you get?
I downloaded Hinge. And so all these prompts, I think you want to have 3 and you can choose a question, or
There's some big ones, aren't there?
There were, and it's I don't know, all of a sudden you think to yourself oh my God, am I really boring? So I don't know which one to do. And then I thought, do you know what? I want to really try and bring my personality into it.
That's the thing. You don't want to come across really weird, but then you also don't want to fade into the background, be really boring.
Yeah, so I remember, I think one was about Nutella. Obviously. So I think it was something what's your opinion on this? I only ever have Nutella and butter together. Yeah, I know you didn't have butter last week. You're fuming. And I was here and I had Nutella. You didn't have any butter. I know. I was clearly very hungry. So I think I spoke, I think it's what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah.
And I spoke about how if you don't have Nutella and butter together, then I'm judging you. And it was such a good conversation starter. I had so many people message me about the Nutella and butter. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Future. Future husband material right there.
Then I did another one about, I feel like there was a prompt saying like, I'm weirdly obsessed with, or I have a obsession about Harry Potter. Again, I feel like it's a really good conversation starter.
I suppose it will draw in the people who actually like the same stuff as you.
You know what? I didn't even need someone to like it. I remember having some people just being like, I don't know, just making a joke of it and being like, I hope you don't think that like you're actually a wizard. It just broke the ice. And then I think I just had like a normal one, like what I like to do on a Sunday or something.
Yeah, I think one of mine was about me being able to rap every word to Gangster's Paradise.
Brilliant.
So that was like a massive opener. I don't even remember what my other ones were. I can't remember what they are. Yeah. I know for me, when obviously I think this is the first time I've even spoken about the fact I've been on dating apps or whatever. So surprise. But yeah, I mean,
the DMs are open.
they're not open. It's not just right. So firstly, my friends downloaded an app. We were on a night out, and you know what it's like. You're newly single. Mm-hmm. They're like, get on the dating apps. I was like, no, like dating apps. The thought of it literally makes me cringe. Like the thought of it makes me cringe. But I do also feel like, I don't feel the same, but I feel like this generation of single people don't know how to converse or meet people in real life. Like, I just feel like back in the day, that like people were way more social when you would go out and stuff. And I feel like people have almost forgotten how to talk in person. And 100%. I don't know if that's because that's all reliant on apps. So they were like, right, we're building you a profile. And I was like, I wouldn't even know what to put, like what pictures. Anyway, they did it. And yeah, I guess it was like a bit of an ego confidence boost, because when you're like feeling so crap in yourself about something, you feel like unloved, unwanted, unattractive, all those things that going through what we've been through have made you feel. It was nice to be like, and like, I'm not gonna lie, like some people on these apps are so like unsubtle, like marry me. Like
I had one, okay, I matched with this boy. He was beautiful, okay, like your proper like typical like American surfery dude type, okay, and whatever. Started talking, like no filter whatsoever, and he was literally like, when are we meeting? And I was like, when do you want to? He's like, how about Saturday, come to mine? And I was thinking, no. I don't know you. You could be a murderer. I ain't coming to your house. So I replied being like, why don't we meet for a drink first? He was like, yeah, and then come to mine. And I think it became very obvious what he was looking for and what I wasn't. That I think once I like tried again to like pull back a bit, he just unmatched me. And I thought, wow, like this is brutal. And I think it was suddenly like that wake up call of like, so some of the conversations I had were really nice and fun and they flowed, but then you had those people that were very much like, and this guy, he was like late 30s, and it's amazing how
they're quite happy living their life.
Well, it just kind of, it actually made me broaden my age on the app, because I look, some people might be listening to this and very much have never been on a dating app. They might be happily married and just like listening to this podcast. So on these apps, you can filter like, you know, how far you want to travel, meeting someone, the age, the religion, loads of different things. And I think at first, being 34, I think I put maybe like 31 to like 41. And the more older guys I was speaking to that seemed just like they still weren't ready to settle down. I know this might sound really weird, but I lowered my age. Yeah. And it was actually really refreshing to see that, do you know what? You're going to get some older guys that are just never going to want to settle down. Yeah. And then you're going to meet some younger guys that actually shouldn't judge them based on their age because they're mature.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't really until I changed that age range a bit that I actually had, weirdly, better conversations. But yeah, some of them were just like,
how did you know you were ready to, like, even the first date, how did you know you were ready to do that? Because I think that's what I get asked a lot.
I think that if I'm honest, I wasn't 100% sure if I was ready. Like, when I went on that first date, I definitely wasn't looking for anything serious. So had I been on the dating app, I probably would have put looking for, I maybe wouldn't have even put it on there because I don't love the look of looking for like
casual.
Yeah. It's a tricky one because it's like I wasn't looking for Mr. Right, I was looking for Mr. Right now.
But what I also don't think that, like, in dating, I think people just associate dating with you want to meet someone. And I mean, I am a hopeless romantic, but for a lot of people, that's not the case. And it is.
So they just want like casual, like,
as well for you, you've never dated anyone.
No.
You've been with the same person your whole life.
Yeah, and you need that. I wanted to have that experience of like one date on a Friday, maybe the next week. And that doesn't, like, I don't want people listening. I don't want people listening to this thinking like, Jesus, what a whore. Like, me going on a date does not mean I went back to their house and slept with them. Like, that's not me. That's not my vibe. I think it was just maybe like putting myself out of my comfort zone, trying to kind of find what dating life is like, because it was completely new to me.
Yeah.
And the first, so I think also it became very apparent what some of my single friends were saying to me was, you know, you could be having this amazing conversation with someone for like 3 days and then they just disappear. And that does like give you a bit of like hit of like, oh shit, like maybe this is actually going to be hard. Like, it's not very nice. But I remember there was this one guy that I matched with, and I think we matched like midday, and by like 8 p.m. I met him. So,
wow, bloody hell, you look fun.
So what happened was, I think it was a Saturday day, we were like talking throughout the day, and like we really, really clicked. And I was actually getting ready to go on a night out. I had a spray tan, I had my hair done, I had my makeup like all ready, really nice outfit on. And he really just like abruptly was like, do you know what, I never do this, but I really want to come and meet you. And in my head, at first I was like, wow, keen, no. Yeah. But then I thought, oh, do you know what? YOLO. It was actually the first weekend that my ex had moved into his place, and I had dropped the kids there and seen his place. I remember coming home crying. And I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I looked as good as I probably could ever. So I thought, okay, I'll do it. So he actually knew roughly where I lived because he worked in my area. And I didn't want a stranger that I had matched with a few hours before knowing where I lived. So we agreed.
Straight to danger.
Yeah, we agreed to kind of like meet like down the road, like by like some of the shops. This sounds so weird, doesn't it?
It's really bad. Judgment free zone, guys.
And so
my standards for that first date, not.
Do you know what I mean? First date, we met at a shop
by a grey lamppost.
So I drove and met him, and do you know what? It just gave me like the biggest like buzz. Like all of a sudden, like I'd never done anything like this. I literally just matched with this guy like a few hours before I just like had this like spontaneous like buzz in me where I was just like, fuck it, like there's people around, he's not going to murder me. Well, luckily he didn't. And
it was a relief.
Yeah. And we just clicked. We chatted for ages, and then I went off to this party, and then from that moment onwards, we like spoke and we saw each other for quite a long time. But I think in my head, I wasn't at that stage yet where I wanted to like settle down with someone. He was really like the first person that I had like a connection with, that I saw regularly. But in the back of my mind, I was very much like, don't fall deep because you know that you're not actually ready yet. And I know that we wanted to,
maybe he wasn't the right, maybe you knew, did you know like subconsciously he wasn't the...
Maybe I knew that he didn't tick certain boxes. So I maybe felt like I was able to
detach yourself in that way.
Slightly, like I wouldn't go too deep. I know that we wanted to touch on kind of like timings and are you ready? I know we've spoken about it in other episodes, and I don't think there's ever like the right time, or you've been single for 4 months and now you can download the app. I think it's very much like where you are mentally. And we've also discussed about, you know, continuing to heal through new relationships.
We were also speaking before we came on live, we were speaking about how, as well, a lot of people don't know what goes on in people's relationships. And I think I speak for both of us when we've almost, I can now honestly sit here and say that like I checked out of my relationship a long time ago, whether that was formally or not. I think a lot of those feelings haven't been there for a while, and therefore you almost feel ready early. I know, like for me, to go on these dating apps, yes, originally it was like a joke, not a joke, but like
I know what you mean. It's a bit of fun.
And and for me, I had no intention of ever using them other than that night out. And then it must have been a few weeks after that, they were still on my phone. I hadn't set up any notifications, so I hadn't looked. So I just like went on and had a little look. And I was like, look, like it would be nice to start talking to people. I'm definitely not looking to get in a relationship or anything. And like, I'm not going to lie, like found it really hard work. And there were a few times I just deleted them, but like I had two. So I downloaded Hinge and Bumble. And I was just like, I just don't think this is for me. Like someone's like, hi, how are you? Did you have a good weekend? Yeah, thanks. What did you do?
I guess it's that same conversation, and then you've got to do it again with the next person.
And how does that develop? And like, I mean, as well, within like my first week of using the apps, I had some very interesting experiences.
Yeah.
So like, for example, I was talking to this guy, and honestly, it must have come somewhere very close to after him asking how I was, him saying, are you into MMF? And at the time, I didn't know what it was. I had to Google it. Male, female. So straight away, I'm thinking, I am.
Say to him, what is that? You Googled it.
I Googled
and
it.
if you just Google MMF, that comes up.
Do it now.
Really?
Get your phone out. Type in what is MMF. Read it.
What is MMF? A session of sex involving a woman and two bisexual men. In an MMF, the woman is always in the middle and everyone likes sexual contact.
Okay, well, I didn't know that then. But there you go. So that was...
There's photos.
I don't want to know that.
I'm really hot.
So that was one of my first experiences on this app. And it was after that, I was like, I'm deleting this app. And I'm going like, I can't believe how
open...
and just like upfront. And do you know what? Great for you if you're into that shit and that's what you're there for. But in my head, that's not what a dating app was. And I think it really terrified me. And I was like, nah, I'm way out my depth here.
But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that guy is the sort of guy that then is like really shy in person. It's so easy to be really like,
he was trying to get me to meet him. And I just said, actually, I don't think I even engaged in the conversation. I think I unmatched. And I deleted the app. The apps work differently as well. So Hinge, you just both match and then you can chat, can't you? But on Bumble, it has to be the girl who initiates down on conversation. So I did that one. And I found like the whole initiating conversation like so out my comfort zone. But on both the apps, like if I was having a conversation and I was just like, I just can't, I did just ignore them. But again, I didn't feel like and as well, I felt like that became quite a commonplace thing on those apps. Like, so I was talking to someone. What app was it on? It was on Hinge. Nice looking guy. We got on quite well. Literally, like had quite a lot in common. Just in general, in terms of like what we were into and stuff. Didn't have kids or anything. Like he was single, and I think he was a little bit younger than me. But like we were speaking quite a lot. And he even suggested about meeting up at some point, and I'd put him down a few times and was like, I don't think I'm ready to, which again, I get from other people's point of views, like, why waste your time talking to someone? Yeah. Again, I didn't really know what I was looking for at this point, or if I was, it was just kind of being on an app.
True.
And then we were talking loads, and then he went to like climb a mountain in Scotland, and I never heard. So he could be up on the mountain, so it could be a mountain rescue team up there. But yeah, I basically got ghosted, or he had a fatal accident. We're not quite sure.
Hopefully the fatal accident.
Yeah, and
hopefully for your sanity.
but yeah,
Brilliant.
but like we were talking loads, and again, it might have been because I was very much like,
Here's a question for you, because I feel like this is something that I get asked a lot. Do you have a preference, now both of us being like single mums with children, do you have a preference on someone having kids or not having kids?
yeah, because I think we're different, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, and this is weird because obviously before I had kids, if I would have met someone who had kids, for me, that wouldn't, I mean, it wouldn't have been desirable.
Yeah.
Now I feel like there's a lot of qualities that I would look for someone, and they stem from them being a good dad and having like that nurturing, that understanding, even understanding like, I don't know, like what a woman goes through and the changes that happen to them, like when they're a mother, just things like that. But also, and again, this is weird, but I've spoken to like friends and family about this, is I'd almost want someone, makes it sound like I've got issues, I would want to be with someone who not necessarily has gone through a divorce, but could empathize and understand what I've been through, because I do think going through things like that, having kids, and again, like someone who understands like the importance of communication and all the things, I think by experiencing, that sounds really awful, but by experiencing an unsuccessful marriage or an unsuccessful mother and father relationship with kids, makes you more aware of how to be successful or things that you believe are important to you. I think sometimes for a lot of people, it makes you know what you're looking for. So it's not like I'd settle my things to must have kids, like must be divorced. But from experience, I feel like I've got on better with people who
That dad.
Yeah, that are dad.
Yeah.
Or, you know, someone who's divorced or going through it.
So no, I actually get everything that you're saying. And on the dating app, it didn't put me off either way.
Yeah.
I think I was more concerned with the guys that said that they didn't have kids, how they would feel once I told them how many I had. Because obviously on these apps, it says you can put if you have kids, which I did. And then it was like that question of like, oh, I can see you have kids. How many? And I'd be like, 3. And like, it's a lot. It is a lot to take on. I'm very aware of it. Yeah. Would I want to take on someone else's 3 children? Probably not. That's just me. So the guy that I dated for a while was a dad. He had been through like a separation. Yeah. And he was really hands-on. Like he had his daughter a lot, and I really liked that side of things. But I think knowing the type of person I am, and I feel like I've actually probably learned this through dating and just generally like the therapy I've had and the healing and the journaling that I've done, I don't know if I would do very well with a permanent ex on the scene.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on what their relationship is like, you know. I think us being the women and dating a man that has kids, again, I'm maybe being slightly like stereotypical here, but usually the mum tends to have the kids more. So if you come across a dad that, you know, may just have their kids every other weekend and once in the week, it's not as much of a like
Impact.
Yeah, as maybe I then was speaking to this guy that had that it was 50-50. So those things may differ. Yeah, so with that ex being around, I would never like be funny about his kids being a priority, because I get that my kids are priority. Yeah. I think it's more, I guess I think of it as like they then have their ways of parenting. What if I don't? It's like there's more not options. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like there's more depth to things that you may not be on the same page about. If you don't parent in the same way, or knowing the type of person I am, I feel like, please God, if I meet someone who I fall in love with, I want to spend the rest of my life with, I feel like I would probably want to have a baby with them, because I feel like that is something that I would feel like is the right, like what I'd want to meet.
You're open to the idea.
And I'm open to it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I think I would personally rather meet someone without the kids, without the ex, that wants to take on my kids and have a baby with me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And again, like, I think what it comes down to is the person. So if I met someone who didn't have kids, never been married, but could empathise and give me the understanding and like care that I needed to be secure in a relationship. And again, like if I was to meet someone who didn't have kids, but for them that was quite like a big thing that they wanted kids, I would be open to the idea of maybe just one more.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel really content. And when I had Milo, I can't explain this. So I always thought I was going to have 3 kids. I don't know if that's because I'm one of 3. But when I had Milo, I had this really weird feeling that he was my last and that I was done. And again, I don't know if it's the kind of person that I am, where, I don't know, some of you might not know this, but before I became a mum, I was a teacher for 8 years. I've always been like a very maternal person. Like I love children. I love like being around children. Like the idea of someone else having kids, I feel like I've got a lot of like love to give people, and I feel like I'm a very caring and compassionate person.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. I'm not like I'm only for dads. But
Yeah. I mean, same.
it depends on the person, doesn't it?
So I went on this date with, it's the first date that I went on. I mean, obviously I met that guy at the shop.
What a date that was.
But like the first date that I went on ever, it was this guy. He was divorced. He had 2 older children. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Like on paper, like sounds like he like really ticks those boxes. He's older, like, and I went on this date. And do you know what? A lot of people are like, oh my God, are you nervous? Like what are you going to talk about? I'm quite good at just making conversation in general. So went on this date, and not going to lie, sweet guy, but oh my God, I was so bored. I was so bored. And this is the mistake I made. So for anyone listening that hadn't gone on a first day, or, you know, just out of practice, the mistake that I made was I made it very clear to him that I was kid-free, okay? So I didn't really have like an excuse to leave. So another mistake I made a few mistakes, okay?
Still learning.
The first mistake was, which I thought would help me, and it did at first, was instead of meeting at the restaurant, he said, do you want to come to me and we'll go in the same car? And I thought I'd much prefer that, because the thought of walking into a restaurant, not knowing
if he's there,
like just that process made me feel a bit ill. Yeah. So I thought, perfect. We can have like a bit of small talk in the car and whatever. But then obviously the mistake that I made was I then had to go back in his car, get to his house, and it caught me so off guard. He was like, do you want to come in? And I couldn't be like, oh, I've got to get home for the kids. I was just like, okay.
Oh, honey, it was...
I know. I said yes. And then I'm so... and then I found it really hard to leave, because it's like that awkward, like, so I'm just going to go now. So like, it just sort of added on a few more hours, this really boring day.
Yeah.
And I think it was very clear when I left and nothing happened that like, I was like, okay, thanks for dinner, bye. But yeah, I will never make the mistake again of going in one car, and I'll always have that backup plan of the kids, like making out that I've got a babysit or something, like I've got to get back to the kids because it's obviously the easiest get out. So yeah, that screwed me. It was an evening I never got back, but I got a free meal and it was good food.
That's free meal. Yeah, so I have actually been on a date, which I don't think I've actually spoken about before, but hey ho, insiders exclusive. And again, like when I agreed to go on this date, I don't think I was ready. And again, I'm not looking like, didn't know what I was looking for or whatever. But anyway, I was speaking to someone and we got on really, really, really well, like from the day dot. And we met on Bumble. So I had to initiate the conversation. I think I said something like, well, hello, then his name. And then why are you laughing at me? Well, that's quite a good line. Let me just say, well, hello, because I didn't know what else to say. Anyway,
I'm so happy.
Ben commented, I think one of my pictures on my profile was like me after I'd been axe thrown with it in the bullseye, like standing next to my axe. And he said something like about, should he have to worry about how accurate I am? I don't know. It was just like a really nice conversation after, and like, just the conversation really, really flowed, and
it wasn't your typical how's your...
It really wasn't. And actually from early on, we both kind of disclosed we had kids, and we literally spoke for like a few days on end and found out we've actually been going through something very, very similar. So everything I was feeling, he got and like validated. And from quite an early point, we were able to have quite like open conversations about stuff and just almost like laugh at like some stuff that you're a bit like, this is wild. But it was nice to have someone who got it, a bit like how you were saying you went on a date with someone who you felt like you could be, it was a bit like therapy. So then we were talking, he suggested meeting up, and I was like, because I didn't know if I was ready. Yeah. And then I was like, do you know what? Do I need to be ready? Like, why am I putting all this pressure, like questioning it? And I thought, at the end of the day, if all I get out of this is a friend who I can talk to, who gets me, and I have a nice day,
why not?
Then I've got nothing to lose. It was a weekend, I didn't have the kids. So I was like, right, I'm going to meet him. And so we were meeting in Covent Garden in London, and I nearly didn't get on the train. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I was just like, because it's new, it's terrifying. 10 years I'd been with the same person. The idea of going on a date with someone else was terrifying. And also,
really excited.
Yes. Oh, one thing I will say, and I advise people to do this. So in my head, and I don't know if this is rational or what, I was convinced he was a serial killer. So I thought, I sort of know advice to give. No, I've got really good advice. So basically, I thought he was going to be a serial killer, and I thought he was going to kill me, then chop up my bones and like hide my body parts somewhere. Oh, because like, how do you know?
There I was, me,
so
random stranger.
I insisted in the week. So I think we started talking on like the Tuesday morning, and he wanted to meet up on the Saturday. So yeah, we FaceTimed quite a few times before. And I remember the first time I was so scared. And I turned the camera and I thought, what if like I've been catfished? Because obviously I think he had only had like 3 pictures, and that's all I had. And obviously when you're looking at these dating apps, there's pictures on there. Those people thought hard about what pictures. They are putting their best shots. So if you're looking at those pictures and they're not good enough for you, remember those are the best.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Do you know what I hated?
We will come up
when it was like crowd photos, and it's like, which one are you? And then
one was another girl.
And that was just group. They're all group photos.
Literally, some was them and a girl. I'm like, this is really weird. This is no. But we'll come back to that.
Yeah,
so I do think we should talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, so we FaceTimed. I wanted to check
that he was who he was.
That he was who he was.
Yeah.
Also, that he didn't look like a serial killer. But then I was like, but maybe that's your disguise. This is right. And I'm being deadly serious. I know we laugh about it now, but in my head, I had so convinced myself, this is what he does. He's nice to women. He pretends he gets them. But this is how like mental I think I was. I told him, I'm pretty sure you're a serial killer. Like, you're going to kill me. You're going to cut me up. He wasn't. Or I'm still alive. A thing, but now. So yeah, so we FaceTime before. So that made me feel a lot better about it. And like, he made me feel quite validated for being so freaking scared about going. But I remember he texted me when he was on the train, and I was like, oh, I can't bail now because he's on the train then. I'd feel really bad if he got to London. And I was like, so bye. Anyway, I went and met him. We met up outside. We were in Covent Garden. We went for a coffee. And
So day date.
so it was like a late afternoon to evening date.
Okay.
So yeah,
I mean, I can't comment on the.
so it was kind of nice that it was like in the daytime because, again, I was quite nervous about meeting a stranger. Again, this is a foreign concept, like a dating app. So I think it was like, let's meet in the day and like kind of almost like see how it goes. It was so exciting. And when I say like, I saw him and pants of him, like so good looking. And instantly it was just, we had a really good spark. And it was exciting. I just remember thinking, this is so exciting. Like it was just like catching up with someone I'd known for a very long time. Like we went for a coffee and then we ended up just walking around Covent Garden. We got like a macaron, some macarons.
Macaroon, babe.
Macarons. I can't say things properly. I swear they called macarons. The little French thing. That's not French.
That's right, your fridge mouth.
No, it does. Macaroon. Okay, potato. We'll discuss that another time. But anyway, we were like walking around.
But like, everyone's going to be shouting at their phone right now. It's macaroon.
Okay, one thing you need to know about me and my family is we have Carlyisms and they're words that I just don't know how to say properly. And that's just that. Just accept it and move on.
Accept it.
Anyway, we went for dinner. We went to the Ivy in Covent Garden. And it had been raining. But we were in an outside bit and it was all under like the alcovey bit. And we had a really, really nice meal. And then weirdly, like everyone disappeared and it was just outside. And it was like the most romantic date I've ever been on. Like, I've been on a few first dates in my time, nothing spectacular, but it really stood out for me. And I thought, I just remember kind of away from it thinking, what a lovely first date and experience to have. Like, we didn't stop talking. We didn't stop laughing. I felt like we were both very drawn to each other. Like, it was really exciting to have that spark and attraction with someone because, again, like when you go through a big breakup or you're left feeling like your self-esteem's crap, you start to believe like you're never gonna have that with anyone, or you almost feel like no one will ever see you as anything more than what someone else had. I don't know, I can't explain it, but I had a really, really, really good experience of dating.
That's so nice.
So yeah, and again, like one thing I will say is I don't think you ever hit a point where you're like, I'm ready to date, because I did not think I was ready to go on a first date. And again, it comes down to the person who it is. Like, I wouldn't have agreed to go on a date probably with someone who didn't have those things in common with me, because my initial like justifying for going on the date was worse that comes to worse, friend who gets it.
Mm-hmm.
So it surprised me.
There's something that I want to point out. Like, I feel like sometimes it can be disheartening when you go on a date that isn't great, and the one that I went on that wasn't bad. It just, there was no spark and there wasn't anything there. But then 3 days later, I went on another date, which was just like a completely different experience, and it was so nice. And we didn't do dinner. We actually we did crazy golf, which was so nice because I feel like it's a lot more relaxed. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it takes the pressure off slightly.
You're not doing that activity.
Yeah, well, you're sitting across the table from someone, and this person that I matched with, I matched with the boring guy the same time as the crazy golf date, and I could see straight away the different connections I had. But because I hadn't really been on many dates, I almost felt not obliged, because I'd never just like, he looked good on paper. So I thought, let's give that a go, and we'll give this one a go and just see how it goes. And the second date was just so nice. Like, when you just click with someone.
And that's it. It's all about the person, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's funny because the guy that was boring had the kid, been through the divorce, and then the guy who I went out with where we just clicked, never been married, doesn't have kids. And I think that's where it kind of opened my eyes a bit more to, like, as you said, it is the person, connection.
It's about that. I've never really believed in, I guess I've never really experienced that, like, chemistry, and I don't know.
Neither had I.
Yeah.
And when you suddenly get it, it's like, oh my God, this is what it's meant. This is what it's meant to be like, and how nice is it?
Yeah. And I don't know, like, for me as well, I just feel like it's thawed my ice heart. But I feel like it's opened my eyes a bit to being like, nope, like, close yourself off. You're still in early territory. Like, you have to be at least this amount of months or this many years into it before you start dating. I was very much narrow-minded, and like that in my head, I was like, I will not try and meet anyone for at least a year. But it's like, why have I put that time figure on it? Actually, I think I was a lot more ready to go on dates or to be open to dates than I realised. And again, I think a lot of that was to do with what my relationship was like before it actually ended. Mm-hmm. And so for a lot of people, and I think this also was a big part of my fear about dating, is what's everyone going to think? If I go on dates a few months after my marriage is separated, they're going to be like, wow, she moves on fast. But again, no one knows what your marriage is like. Mm-hmm. This is something I wrote in my notes, was like, I was very much in a relationship that I wasn't happy in, but I never told a single soul. So even though I don't think I realised the extent of it, even things that I probably should and would have liked to have told people, I didn't, out of fear of my relationship and my marriage being judged. Mm-hmm. So I felt very isolated in how I felt. Really now, I wish I'd been more open, because I feel like a lot of people are like really shocked by, I don't know, like how unhappy, or things that have come out about, like, I don't know, like just how I was feeling in my relationship for a fairly long period of time. And I do genuinely believe that is why I am where I am now. It's not because, wow, like my marriage ended this many months ago, wow, she moves on fast. Like, it's just that it's not like that at all. Yeah. And you know what? It could be the opposite. It might be that your marriage ended a year ago, and you know what, you might not be completely ready to. But that's the thing. I think the key thing is not to judge anyone on if someone wants to date someone, let them do it. If it's making them happy, or if, I don't know, if they're going out and dating loads of people for experience, let them do it. Every single person is different. I also think, like, you as a person get to go out and do what you want. So I don't know, if you've got someone.
No, I agree. I have had a few comments saying like, oh, like, looks like you've like.
I think that's why I haven't shared that I've been on dates, is fear of judgment. But again, no one knows what was going on in marriage.
I do get that. And I feel like, even like you said, even I thought in my head, like, oh God, maybe this is a bit too soon. Like, I'd work out and I'd be like, shit, it's only been 5 months or 4 months. Like, is that too soon? I almost made myself feel like I needed to say, because I was almost judging yourself. And then I thought, oh, do you know what? I spent probably over a year and a half in my marriage not connected to someone. So like, and why not?
You've got a connection with someone, why would you push that away? But this is it in my head. I think sometimes you can try and self-sabotage in situations like that and like overthink it too much. And and I'm really bad at that in my head, like thinking it needs to be X amount of time. But like, what is time?
Yeah.
What is time?
Why does it make a difference if you wait 5 months or 2 months?
And again, I do genuinely believe it would come down to being the right person. Like, if, again, like, I am a very fragile person at the moment, and I'm not saying I'm completely healed. I'm in a much better headspace, but of course, like, I'm got a year ahead of me of dealing with divorce and other things. That person needs to be able to be tolerant and, you know, understanding and empathetic. And I just think it all comes down to timing, not like physical time, but the timing of when you meet someone. Mm-hmm. And I just don't,
if they're the right person,
and just don't overthink it. I think that's a big thing. I think
I'm a massive overthinker.
I'm a massive overthinker. I'm my own worst bloody enemy. I could talk myself out of anything.
Yeah, literally.
But I just think we just need to stop worrying about what other people think.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it. When you go through like a breakup and like your whole world turns upside down, I just think you need to put in perspective, like, we get one life. You don't know how long it is. Are you going to spend the rest of your life doing what other people think you should be doing? Or are you going
But you know what I think I've also learned is you're always, even if you do what you think other people want you to do, there's still always going to be someone that doesn't agree with it. So you do it. Do fucking do it. It's funny, I want to quickly revert back to, I know we've like gone all deep, but I want to go back to like talking about maybe looking at dating profiles and what like stood out as like a no.
Oh my God, I've had so many red flags when it comes to these things. So one thing I hate, I really hate it, is when someone stood in the mirror with the camera doing a selfie. Like, fair enough, you're doing a selfie like that. But sometimes it's the only way to get pictures. Because when they're like this in the mirror.
But do you know what? I don't mind that so much because in my head, I think, is it more cringe for a boy to put his photo, like his camera up and be like, yeah, like the thought. It's very girly. Like, boys don't take as many photos.
No, it's fat.
So I feel like in order for them to maybe, like, I wouldn't be surprised if a boy's like, I want to go on a dating app, but I don't have enough photos, so I'm going to need to take some. So the only way to do it is kind of,
I suppose I
do it.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, my thing was when it was all groups. It's all group photos. They're all the same boys, and you don't know who it is. Are you talking to the really fit one on the left, or are you talking to the ugly one on the right? So it's a bit like, ugh.
Yeah.
So for me, I sort of avoided that.
Yeah.
If you do not have a photo on your own,
Don't
don't match.
I also really hate topless, like posed topless.
Yeah, that's if
Whether your body is good or not, I feel like
I prefer
yourself
to learn about what's under the clothes.
I feel like, again, like you obviously think that much of yourself. Oh my God, actually, I have a funny one to tell you. So I matched with someone, and again, I don't know why I matched him because one of his pictures was definitely topless.
You obviously liked it.
I don't even know. It's very early on. Anyway, he was. There was one picture with him, and he had like a horse with him. Right.
A real one.
Yeah, real horse. And then he said something, I think it was on a beach, and there was like a horse on him. And he said something like, oh, you're a PT. I'd love to know what you think of my body, or something like that.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I said, yeah, you obviously matched with me because you thought my body looked good or something like that. And I said, oh, sorry, I thought it was matching with the horse.
Do you know what the worst is? When you eventually match, things are, the conversation is flowing, you exchange numbers, and then the minute you're on WhatsApp, they just send you a dick pic.
I've never had.
Oh my God, I had so...
Don't think I've got a dick pic from
Oh my God. But do you know, I got a dick pic on my DMs.
No.
Yeah. Like, how is that? Do you know what? Thank you for sending me a photo of your penis. I'd love to marry you. Like, seriously?
I kept getting these messages from this guy asking me to sell him pictures of my feet.
Should have done it.
I should have done it.
No, but like, if there's any guys listening, like, dick pics aren't cool. It's not a turn on. It's really fucking rank.
It's disrespectful.
It is, isn't it? Can you imagine if I just started sending him a photo of my tits everywhere? I think I'd love it.
It's the difference between men and women.
It's like, oh, you don't get your tits. So I just feel like, in this day and age, like, what is wrong with these men? Like, this is grown men. Like, yeah, like, show me your vagina. Show me your vagina, or I'll show you my penis.
Thing is, I know you said, oh, sometimes conversation was like, I'm not gonna lie, I've had minimal conversations on apps just because I found them so dry. But yeah, dating apps have been a whole...
One more story that I'm going to tell you, which, like, this is why I feel like with dating apps, if you click with someone, I would personally move over to WhatsApp fairly quickly, because I did get catfished, which is, I feel like just a bit of a horrible experience, but it was with a guy that I was sort of dating, and we weren't exclusive, like, we weren't solely just we weren't not seeing other people. And he just had this constant, like, I feel like you're speaking to other people. I feel like you're speaking to other people. I genuinely wasn't. So I was like, I'm not. He created a fake account.
Oh my God, why are there so many mental...
I matched with him because he was really thin. And I'm talking to him at the same time as talking to him.
Oh no. And it was him.
And it was him. And then when I found out that he had catfished me, I think he felt proud of himself that he proved himself right. And then he thought that we just carry on as normal. And I was like, you a psycho. So there's just some weird people out there.
I think that's one thing I've learned is there are some weird people. So be careful out there. So
yeah, definitely.
And that's it. And I also think like
the FaceTiming before a date is
FaceTime before a date. So like if it is new to you, few pieces of advice, don't worry about what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Firstly. Secondly, I don't think you always have to be 100% sure you're ready, but do make sure you feel comfortable. Also, one thing I will say is when you go on your first date, pin drop all your girls.
Yeah. Or be safe.
I do think you need to be smart. It's a sad thing to say in this day and age, but
here I am saying that I met the guy at his house and got in his car.
But don't listen to Tash, basically.
He seemed nice.
Be aware, stranger dating.
He seemed nice. He was just real. Should we read some of the stuff that we got?
Yeah.
You to send us some stories and some of the...
about your funny dates.
Okay. Not my first date, but a guy that I was seeing for a month, his ex-girlfriend popped up out of nowhere pregnant with his child. Can you imagine being with someone for a month? Not good. Went on a date, had an average time. He then asked if I wanted to be his submissive for money.
Oh my God.
See, people just...
There are weirdos. That's what I mean.
Oh, here's a funny one. Met at a restaurant and saw him getting dropped off by his mum.
Sorry, that would be that is like a massive ick, isn't it?
Yeah, no, sorry.
Can you imagine they like giving him a little kiss on the cheek?
I'd be like, who the fuck is that? My mummy. No,
I'll call you later.
No, that is a no from me. Split the bill. My wine was more expensive, so he made me pay £1 more and I thought he was rude. I mean,
firstly, I don't believe in splitting the bill on the first date. I genuinely believe in
they should pay. So do I. He made her pay £1 more. That is the biggest turn off.
Yeah, isn't it? That makes
ever
sick.
I think I'd actually turn around and be like,
are you joking?
I'm not paying anything, I'm leaving by.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Spat my chewing gum out and kicked it. Fuck knows why. Shoe flew off into a moving car.
What? Into a moving car?
I love that she doesn't know why she kicked her gum. Can you imagine?
Why did you do that?
It does make me laugh. Lol. My friend dated a guy for 2 years, slept over at his flat the lot. Turns out he was married. Oof. Okay, here we go. Went to the cinema and during the film, he took my shoe off and smelt it. Probably that. What? That was a fetish, surely. Imagine someone sitting in the cinema and going,
I feel ill.
Yeah, I would absolutely die at that.
But I wouldn't even let him get that far. I'd be like, why the fuck are you touching my foot?
I unintentionally made him cry on the first date. I needed to make an exit, run away. I would love to know what you said.
Yeah, I really want to know.
That's hilarious.
I unintentionally made him cry.
First date, he had a panic attack and was worried I had an STI. He had health anxiety. P.S. I can confirm I did not have an STI, nor sleep with him for him to find out, or saw him again. I actually know the person who said that as well.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's so funny.
Dated a guy who obviously watched too much porn and treated his girlfriend like they are in one. I mean, I'm not a big fan of like porn lovers, if I'm being honest.
Who is? Put that in your profile, guys. Must be a porn lover.
He would obviously watch too much porn. I just feel like porn's so unrealistic.
It is.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's got really...
Perfect.
Hold on a minute. Brought his baby along.
To a date.
To a date, brought his baby along. Oh my God.
Yeah, you'd have
to run.
That's not a first date, is it? That's fine.
They've just brought his baby along. That must be a first. That is terrible. Usual scenario, look nothing like his pictures. Yeah, that makes me feel.
That's like my biggest fear. And again, that is why get on FaceTime, girls.
Yeah, 100%. The most interesting he had to say about himself was how he shared a path with his neighbour to put the bins out. I feel like my dad would say that.
Yeah. I can't even imagine being on a date and being like, me and my neighbour shared a car. Can you imagine?
Oh, it's just so weird.
I think do you know what? This all just makes me think, like, when you find someone who is relatively normal and nice, you just got to roll with it.
Yeah, 100%.
There are some weirdos.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've got any, like, other than like the catfish story. I sadly don't. Oh, sadly, I don't have any.
My big one was MMF.
Yeah, that's weird.
The fetish, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like we definitely need to at some point discuss like weird fetishes because I want to hear people's fetishes.
Yeah, if we can do question box,
they amaze me.
Yeah, it just makes you remember we live amongst weirdos.
And I'm actually quite
normal. Yeah.
But no, I had fun. That was a fun episode. I feel like there's definitely going to be more episodes. We're going to talk about dating, and obviously, if you guys want to actually email in experiences or questions about what to do on a first day, or like, also I guess it would be good to kind of discuss like what to wear on a first day, where to go, what to talk about.
I did not know what to wear.
Yeah, no, neither. It's like, do you wear boots? Do you wear not? Because obviously I was it was winter, so it's like, do you wear like a heel? Do you wear a trainer?
And what do you do if it's like a day date into an evening date? That was my dilemma.
Did you wear trainers?
I wore dunks with jeans.
Yeah,
and
I think I do trainers
and mix it on.
Yeah. But no, there's so much more that we're definitely going to talk about dating.
It's exciting, and that's it. Like, do you know what? Like, once you've moved past the trauma and like you've understood like one chapter closes, another one opens.
Yeah, and just generally dating in your 30s, I think there's a lot to talk about. It's very different to
very much more aware of things,
what you want and what you don't want. So yeah, no, it was a good one. So I hope you guys enjoyed it,
and I hope you listen next week.
Yeah, make sure you give a follow. We will
share us, guys. That's how we reach more people.
Yeah, definitely.
And it helps us grow. So yeah, thank you for your support.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.